Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant. And she's right. But I'm not afraid. And I hope you're not either.
I hold in my hands, ladies and gentlemen, what might be the opening salvo of Donald Trump's mission to take down his political opponents. Weaponization of the government, the same weaponization he's whined about for years and years and years. This is not justice. This is not seeking justice. This is political targeting. This is political retribution. This is political revenge against the former FBI director, the former Deputy Attorney General of the United States, James Comey. Somebody I don't have a lot of fondness for. In fact, this is what's so interesting about this. This is one of the most interesting things about this, I believe. If not for James Comey, Donald Trump would not have been president in 2017, after the 2016 election. It was because of James Comey's carelessness and I guess weird adherence to his conservative principles, being a Republican, that he released a bunch of information about Hillary Clinton in some investigatory capacity that should not have been released, and it caused what happened. It almost solely can be laid at the feet of James Comey. So even though he provided Donald Trump with the presidency, not good enough. He is an enemy of Donald Trump. He's being charged with one count of false statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the United States government, and count two, one charge of obstruction of a congressional proceeding. 2 of 3 charges that were brought, the grand jury wouldn't find him that there was reasonable enough evidence to send to a jury. I think it's very likely all of this goes away at trial, because the burden on a grand jury is different for the burden on a burden of proof in an actual trial jury. I served on a federal grand jury, the same grand jury, by the way, that indicted Michael Avenatti in Orange County, California. I sat on that grand jury for a year and a half. We had to extend for 6 months because they didn't want to impanel a new grand jury and have to show them all new evidence or all the old evidence in the case. I'm well aware of how it works in a grand jury. And let me tell you, this isn't like secret grand jury knowledge. This is just how it works. They don't have to provide exculpatory evidence. All they need to provide is what they think is going to get them to trial. They don't have to, unless grand jurors ask questions. And oftentimes they don't. In my experience, they don't. I was a ringleader of no, I don't believe this is a conspiracy charge. I don't think this. I don't think this. And then when we went to deliberate, I would not go straight to vote. I would say, no, I want to talk about this case. So unless you have somebody like that, it's not like I'm tooting my own horn, but unless you have someone, there have been cases here in Washington, D.C. where the grand jury says, nope, we're not indicting. And the federal government has had to not go forward with the cases. But let's get into this. So the former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, resigned / I quit. You can't quit. I fire you. One of those deals. There wasn't enough evidence. This is clearly political weaponization, using the Justice Department as Donald Trump's own personal retribution service, revenge service, his own personal law firm. And the guy quit. He's like, I'm not going to do this. This isn't right. This isn't proper. This is not justice. So what does Donald Trump do? He puts Tawny Katane. If you remember the Whitesnake video. Oh, I crack myself up sometimes. Lindsay Halligan is her name. I've been talking about her a little bit lately. She's the former beauty pageant contestant, not winner, but just, she competed, who ended up being an insurance lawyer and then went on to represent Donald Trump in the documents case. Now she is the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. She's also a master 80s aficionado, apparently. The look, she just needs blue eyeshadow and she's all the way there. And look, we've known this was coming for a long time. Donald Trump was even asked about this in the Oval Office yesterday, and he feigned like he had no idea. All I know is what I read from the papers. I don't know. Pam Bondi's right here. Pam, what can you tell us? But nobody believes, even Republicans who are champing at the bit for a conviction of Donald Trump's opponents, they even know that's bullshit. Watch this from yesterday in the Oval Office.
Just like we did Washington, D.C., and we're gonna do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
Mr. President, there could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment or?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
We can't comment on that.
Can you comment on New York Times? Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes they say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and at the end of that, at the end of this segment of answering questions where he's just giddy because his weekend is getting ready to start, he's always real peppy when he's thinking about golf, right? They ask him about other names. And he's like, well, I don't know, but I hear this might be I hear about this name. I read about this being a thing. When all of this, the reason it's even written about is it's like a snake eating its tail. It's cyclical logic with Donald Trump. He voices who he wants to be punished. The right-wing media sphere writes a bunch of articles about it, and then he refers to those articles when talking about the evidence for the case. It's nonsense. Watch this.
They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories.
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know, maybe could be him, could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad.
And look, this is a very slippery slope. We are already plunged into fascism. This is an authoritarian type of person, Donald Trump. Even his former attorney agrees. Even Ty Cobb, the weird mustachioed former attorney of Donald Trump, is saying, this isn't good. This is absolutely what it looks like, and it is not bearing well for what we are going to be looking at into the future. Watch him talking to Aaron Burnett on CNN last night.
What do you see here?
Well, I think this is a tragic day for America, not because Comey's perfect by any means, but what we have here is a clear vindictive prosecution, a clear selective prosecution. We have a president for the first time in history ordering his attorney general to indict his enemies, and the attorney general, instead of being the independent force that she's supposed to be, saying, yes, sir, how fast can I get that done for you? I think if she's concerned about justice for people who have misled the country, reflection on her confirmation proceedings is probably in order, because she talked about even-handed justice, and this is not that. I think that the case is subject to motions to dismiss for vindictive prosecution and selective prosecution. I think, likewise, it's a very weak case, at least based on what we publicly know, and we publicly know an unusual amount about this case because of the Justice Department internal Inspector General's investigation, where he found the person that Comey allegedly authorized to leak the information not credible, and found that Comey was credible. So I think this is a very problematic case for the government to bring, but I think the way in which they brought it is problematic for the entire country. And this is either the end of the rule of law in America, or it's a tipping point against the authoritarian activity that we have seen from this president and his attorney general.
He is exactly right that this is Donald Trump directing his DOJ to go after the former director of the FBI and, again, former deputy attorney general of the DOJ. He's directing them to do so. In a video later today, I'm going to be talking about the Republican responses to this. And Donald Trump has been calling for Comey's takedown for years. For him to feign like he has nothing to do with this is just nonsense. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. James Comey, apparently Instagram is his preferred method of communication. He took to Instagram on his account and posted this video to give you an idea where he's at with all of this.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
I believe him. I believe that he's unafraid, that he is unmoored, that he will not be shifted off his position of his resistance to Donald Trump and fascism itself. I believe him. I'm not fond of James Comey. I think he's made some mistakes that are verging on unforgivable. Verging on, not totally unforgivable. He's not an irredeemable character, but he certainly fucked up pretty big. He is responsible, I believe, almost solely for the condition of the country right now because he gave us Donald Trump. And he's going to have to make amends with that. He's going to have to come to grips with that, of what his legacy is in the history of the country. But he does not deserve prosecution. He did nothing that rises to the level of felony conduct. And we know that because the first U.S. Attorney of Eastern District of Virginia had enough integrity to say, I'm not doing this. This is not what I signed up for. But Tawny Katane, Lindsay Halligan, apparently it is what she signed up for. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you appreciate what I do, the style with which I do it, the things I say, my fearlessness. I hope it's infectious. Subscribe to this channel. You can do so for free. Just click below right here. Make sure you're liking and following the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily, where you can share these videos natively there. Please spread the word. We need, hopefully, fearlessness is infectious. If you want to sound off and talk about this, we can talk about it in the comments of the video, wherever you're watching it. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.